Well, welcome to Monday Night Football in Kansas City. This is Kingdom Kickoff. Clint Switzer, as always, alongside my partner Noah Gronniger and the man, the myth, the legend, Rich Baldinger, former KCTV5, former Kansas City Chief. Guys, if you're out at Arrowhead Stadium, you might be a little wet, a little cold. The three of us, not so fast. We are warm in our friendly confines of our personal studios. We've got pizzas in the oven. We're going to enjoy that way. But, guys, a must win tonight. I don't know if there's a lot to glean from this as far as breaking down this game, but Noah, Rich, the Chiefs need a win, and it's got to happen here, and this team's got to be 4-4 by 11 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we want to talk about the record, but can we just win in warm-ups? Let's just make sure we don't have any turnovers in warm-ups, and let's start there, and then we'll go to the first series. And, just so many mistakes in watching last week's film against Tennessee. Dreadful performance by our big front five guys, just not on the same page, communication-wise, technique-wise, fundamental-wise, effort-wise, and take it the other side of the ball, defense. I could serve 3 cappuccinos by the time we get to the quarterback. So it's just not happening. So hopefully tonight we find a way, we get a sense of urgency. I'm tired of hearing these defensive players come to the press conference and say, well, we kind of came out a little flat. Wow. We're ranked 100. What did you say we were, Clint? 175th in the NFL in defense? Frustrating, just very frustrating to think that, these guys were in the Super Bowl. This is Super Bowl. And you got to believe that they feel the pain on this. I'm sorry. I mean, you fight so hard to be in this league and get there, and you were at the top, and now where you're at, you hope that there's a sense of urgency that comes through tonight against the Giants.
Yeah, and speaking of that, there was some big news, some reactions that came out from Anthony Hitchens and Tyrann Mathieu this week on social media. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, Rich. You don't have a lot of social media, but here we go. We're going to take a look at it here. Anthony Hitchens said, all we did was go to 3 AFC championship games, 2 Super Bowls, 1 Super Bowl win in my first 3 years here so far. Y'all fans will never be satisfied. It's sad. And Tyrann Mathieu comes back and replies to Anthony Hitchens saying, big facts. This might be one of the most toxic fan bases in all of sports. He just recently this week came out a little bit after these statements and talked to the media and said he shouldn't have said that. He apologizes. He's been frustrated with his play and just kind of the team this season. So, Rich, what do you make of all that's going on here in Chiefs Kingdom?
Well, everybody talks about this social media thing. My thing is, why do you have that much time for social media? You have time to comment to these fans. Those fans, listen, Anthony Hitchens and the Honey Badger. I'll take you to some bad times now. I'll take you to the early 80s and through the 80s. You want to see bad time, but these fans were there with us. They came out. Even the worst of times were there. So, for him to ever even begin to challenge these guys in the stands. But my big question is, do you really have time? You're making mistakes on every play. You had 8 plays over 18 yards in the game against Tennessee. What happened in coverage? What were you doing? Where will you need to be? So do you have really time to talk to fans? Maybe spend some time in the film room or working on the little things with the guys around you to make you better. Just don't understand how you even begin down that road. And the kid probably just cost himself a contract with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Interesting. That is kind of my thoughts as well. I think the Chiefs were apprehensive about it to begin with. And now with this, it seems like they've kicked the can down the road as it is, as far as getting that extension done. And, the last time we had a 29-year-old safety that we signed an extended deal, it did not go well. That was Eric Berry, and injury sort of limited his career. But Rich, I got to go deeper here. And everybody said in this organization that Super Bowl was the wake-up call. They stepped in there. They got their butts kicked against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Linebacker Devin White said that, we don't play finesse football. We knew that's what they were going to do, and we're in the trenches, and that's how we play. And we thought that was the wake-up call. It has not been. We've seen the team unprepared, uninterested, certainly, not a team that's cohesive in any way. So is there a hunger? Is there a drive that you just can't replicate when you've had the success that this team's had and won a Super Bowl in 2019, the second half of that season? You never seen such a hungry bunch. That defense didn't start off well either under Steve Spagnuolo, but it got hungry and it got together. Is there a hunger and a drive that you think that is just palpable here that has left this organization since that success has happened?
Well, you would think that guys like Anthony Hitchens understands that. It's going to start with the players. Listen, guys, let's cut right to the chase. Coaches can only do so much, but the moment you cross that white line, you're on your own. It's up to you to perform at a level, and you're paid as a professional. Some guys more athletic talent than others, but the one thing that no coach can give you, there's no one thing that you always carry on that field, no matter what level you're at as a player, is you can bring effort. You can bring effort on every play. You can make overcome something. We haven't seen effort, and that's what's bothersome about this defense. I don't know if it changes. If it doesn't change before the end of the year, I look at wholesale changes on that defense. I don't think Coach Spagnuolo survives this. I think you're going to see a bloodbath on that side in terms of people getting let go, and it's going to bring a lot of changes to the Kansas City Chiefs. But maybe this is what needs to happen, guys, because just like you said, Clint, it wasn't until halfway through 19 that this defense woke up.
Yep.
Really, it was a challenge. And then, without this offense exploding the way it did that year, like against Houston, and to come back, maybe it wouldn't have been a Super Bowl. So we've been carrying this defense. Let's be honest. We've been carrying this defense since the days of Greg Robinson. I mean, aren't we tired of this? I mean, to the fan base, to all these guys that want to rip the fans, they have every bit and right. We've sat there and watched this. We're the worst run defense. We're this. When did we ever change this? Who is the people that come to this team that says, you know what? Forget about the offense. We're going to set the tempo. We're going to be the attitude. You're going to know about the Kansas City Chiefs because it's us, the defensive guys. When we walk on the field, we're going to hit some people in the snot box. You just don't see it, and it's frustrating as a former player, but I know for the fans too. Listen, as I said, I love these people here in town. I'll never forget them. They went through the worst with me. We finally got in the playoffs with Marty Schottenheimer.
Yep.
So we gave them something. These guys now in the Super Bowl. So defensively, if that isn't a challenge enough for you, if this isn't a challenge to know that you've been carried so far, you've been carried by Patrick Mahomes. Now they caught up with you. So maybe you'll come on TV and not say, well, we were maybe not really interested in the game. Well, that doesn't bode too well for you on anything. And that makes me wonder on that side of the ball, is there really any leadership on the field? And you know what, guys? You look at every team and somebody on both sides of the ball is a guy who steps up in the leader. I thought the Honey Badger was there. I don't know. I might have to take a step back on that and wonder. So,
yeah, when everything was sunshine and rainbows, you talked about how close and tight-knit this locker room was, how many leaders we had. And now that we're seeing the downtimes, it's maybe there's some fracture in there and we don't have quite the leaders that we thought we did when everything was hunky-dory and Patrick Mahomes is winning MVP, throwing 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. But Tyrann Mathieu, Anthony Hitchens, you don't come at Clint and I and challenge us and our fandom. We were at the Chiefs-Ravens game in 2012, our 2-14 year. So we are fans through and through, the good times, the bad times. But Rich, I want to talk about some of these inactives we see here for the Chiefs. Mike Remmers and Colin Saunders are two names that kind of jump off the screen to me. Colin Saunders had a good week against the Tennessee Titans, and he's down. And then Mike Remmers, people were saying he was playing better, gave a veteran presence there on that right side, kind of helping communication with him and Trey Smith. And I guess Lucas Niang's the guy now back at right tackle.
Yeah, Niang's going back out there, and he's just struggled out in space and playing with strength and being able to handle the stunts. I mean, we really collapsed there, especially in the fourth quarter. The performance wasn't good across the board. So the changed right tackle now is another issue. That's going to pose a challenge for us. All I know is one thing: is the offensive line. You're never going to get the fandom. You're never going to go on TV. You're never going to. Where you earn your bucks is when you knock the dog out of somebody. When you flatten someone, you rattle their brain, knowing that probably in 20 years they're going to have issues. That's where you get your money. That's where you get your sense of power. And these guys aren't showing it for me. And I'm like, come on, guys. You guys got to be the leaders. You're the motor of this team, but not getting it. So the change of the offense, going to, again, it's another question mark. When anytime you move those pieces of puzzle around in the offensive line, you're going to have some struggles during the game.
Well, Rich, it seems to me that that Brett Veach has made some veiled attempts to try to improve this football team. Noah's got a graphic that we'll show here in a little bit that's going to talk about Von Miller and his big trade to the Rams. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs did not make an attempt to sign either Melvin Ingram or Justin Houston in the offseason, two guys that would have helped this defensive line, certainly. And now the Chiefs are making attempts to trade for Melvin Ingram, who's a Pittsburgh Steeler, but the Steelers may not want to trade Melvin Ingram to an AFC team, a player that we could have had as a free agent in the offseason. What is going on here as far as Veach's inability to improve this team, whether it be in the offseason when all we did was go offensive line? We didn't really address that number 2 receiver position. It's still not being addressed because Josh Gordon's not getting any snaps.
And we're saying his name anymore because he's never going to play. So.
Yeah, never on the field. Yeah.
So what's going on with this roster?
It is a frustrating thing, and I understand what had happened. And your focus is you've got the quarterback of the National Football League, so you're going to do everything you can to protect them. But I think Brett Veach understands that also too. When you put Niang over at right side, who's basically a rookie. I mean, I'm going to give the guy credit. He's just a rookie, so he's learning. He's trying to get better. Trey Smith, a rookie. You got a rookie at center position. So we got 3 across the board. So. I better hold back on my energy a little bit as I start going over the top because it's a little different in my day when you're only a rookie until you got your first start. Then you weren't a rookie anymore. So, but, Joe Thuney's hurt his left hand and everything. But to answer your question, Clint, this is the frustration of building a team. And do you put your focus to defense because you look where you're at money-wise, contract-wise, draft pick-wise? Does it go defense? And then you do not have – we basically lost both our tackles. So we had no choice. We had to go that direction in offense. You had to put your focus because, to get Patrick Mahomes hurt would have been the end of Brett Veach. So, anyways, that's why this whole thing to me now is becoming a real conundrum because the people you thought you had were your building blocks are now deteriorating. And now you got to build on both sides of the ball. And this is where teams get in this cap trouble and you have problems. As I said, the Giants have been working on this since, I think, 13? They said basically 2013 was the last time they had a decent offensive line, 9 years ago. but they got in cap space problems. They had too many defense. They couldn't move with guys. And so this is what makes it frustrating in National Football League. And this is going to be the challenge for Brett Veach. We're going to find out about him. We still don't know, right? We don't know about Brett Veach, but we're going to find out this year. Does he have that magical touch to bring in some key components even during the rest of the season? Can we sign somebody off somebody's team and that steps up and becomes a player?
Yeah, and Clint mentioned it a little earlier about the Von Miller trade. I'm going to go to that and kind of get your thoughts. And people might not think a lot about the Broncos, but they have a better record than our Kansas City Chiefs do currently. If we beat the Giants tonight, then we'll be tied at 4-4. But let's look at this. The Rams get Von Miller to pair with Aaron Donald on that defensive line. Just a huge move for them. They're all in. The Broncos get a second and third round pick, and they even got Denver to pay $9 million of the $9.7 million on the remaining deals. So the Rams may have fleeced Denver here, although they do send a second and third round pick, but the Rams don't seem interested in making any draft picks. They trade them away for Jalen Ramsey, whoever it is. So what do you make of this trade here? Von Miller going to the Rams, and it looks like the Broncos may be looking to rebuild after they fire Vic Fangio at the end of the season if he makes it that far.
Definitely. That wow. The soothsayer. No, it's the soothsayer here for yeah, I mean, Aaron Donald, and this is going to be unbelievable 1-2 combination up front. I mean, Von Miller can still bring it off the edge. And, wouldn't it be nice if we had somebody like a Von Miller here once and for all? I mean, we got to go back to the days of DT, right? Derek Thomas, right? That was our guy that walked on the field no matter where he was on the field. You had to adjust for him. You had to adjust for him because no matter what, he was a difference maker. And when we get that guy, I'm not sure. What they do, I don't know. But yeah, I would love to have a Von Miller here for a couple of years. It probably would help significantly on our defense.
Yeah. Remember, we had one of those guys. I think his name was Chris Jones. He played defensive tackle. I'm not sure where he is today. But when he was playing defensive tackle, man, you had to locate him and find him. It was great. I don't know what happened, though.
Well, he had one good rush in the game, and then did help get to one sack that we had in the game. But guys, I'm telling you, what are we, 7 games into this season right now, and we only have, 8 sacks on the year? I mean, only 5 sacks in our front 4. I mean, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable when you're paying people $20 million a year. Yes. I'm sorry. You got to be there. All these times, sacks come in bunches. No. When I'm giving you $22 million, they're coming to me when I want my cold beer. Bring it to me now. I don't want to wait any longer. And so this is where now you have to, Chris Jones, they said last week he tweaked his groin again. He's got this thumb issue. Is this the time that you look like, maybe we better trade him? Maybe what if we can get some picks for him out of this? Whatever you can get. Denver, you've at least got a second and third. You know where those guys always fall in. They're usually that dividing line from a first to a second. You pick somebody up. It could have been a first rounder, but just numbers wise. So, that's what I'm saying. I think this offseason we're going to see it's going to be a movie every day on new people coming in.
Well, Rich, we got some more news from the day when that was an IR for Titans running back. This has been
Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Derrick Henry goes down with this Jones fracture in the foot, which has ended careers. A stress fracture, the 5th metatarsal bone near the toe and the side of the foot. The Jones fracture is a serious deal. So Derrick Henry.
Dr. Switzer.
Thank you. Noah wrote this text. I'm just reading it. So he's expected to miss 8 weeks to the remainder of the season. They've signed running back Adrian Peterson. So this is in the Chiefs' wheelhouse in a way. This is an AFC team. The Chiefs just played and lost to. They're 5-2, but Derrick Henry is their workhorse. This is a guy that was on pace to have one of the greatest seasons in NFL running back history. It's a shame to see him go down, but that could be a big blow for the Titans. And in the meanwhile, in the AFC West, we got the Chargers losing to the Patriots yesterday. Right. The Raiders are still sitting at 5-2. This division is still, believe it or not, there for the Kansas City Chiefs, but they're going to have to reel off some wins. The AFC, we saw the Bengals go down. We've got this injury to Derrick Henry. Rich, there's still some things the Chiefs could do in this AFC if they could reel together some wins. I just don't have any confidence when you look down the road at Green Bay, Raiders, Cowboys coming up. They got a row to hoe here.
Yeah, I worry too. The Jets beat Cincinnati, so I don't think the Chiefs have a chance here on that one. So, no, I got to agree that right now the Chiefs, if they're going to do anything tonight's the start tonight. This is a defense that's middle of the road. The Giants, they have their issues. I guess Brown, their quarterback, or Jones, excuse me, is their leading rusher on their team because so Barkley's out, right? He's out for the year, I guess. So when your quarterback's your leading rusher and things, there's still some question marks. You would think tonight at Arrowhead Stadium, this place rocks. We come with victory. It's been an ugly place to play for the Chiefs this year at Arrowhead Stadium. No hometown fans. I mean, no crowd that's helped them out. So we're going to find out about a lot about this team. I mean, from the social media events, the performance last week against Tennessee, where does this team want to go? Is it these players? Do these players feel like this year they want to do something? And, guys, it's different every year. Believe me, it's being the NFL. There are some years where everybody's into it, and some years, by the second game, people have turned it off, literally. So you're hoping they haven't, because you don't know how long you can keep this group together nowadays in the days of this salary cap. I know it's going to go significantly higher next year, but still trying to maneuver numbers around. They always say, well, you've got this much money in the bank. Well, we all know at the end of the month, we go to our bank accounts, there's never that much money in the bank. So is this the year that maybe the Kelsey goes or a Tyreek goes, because you're going to have to fill significantly, because you can't play with a defense like this anymore, guys. You're never going to go to a playoff again. You're never going to be a team about when you're third second, but the amount of big plays you're giving up and the issues you're having. So you're really going to have to address that side of the ball. So that's why I always say, guys, you never know how long your buddy's going to be with you before he's gone. It's just in the nature of this game nowadays. And what does this team become if they lose a Kelsey or a Tyreek Hill? And believe me, it's not out of the water. It is not, when you've got the issues the Chiefs do, that they don't try to package some people and get significant amount of picks, because that's where we're at right now.
Interesting. Yeah.
I was putting off thinking about that till the off season. So thank you, Rich, for depressing me here before Monday Night Football. But
I'm the bearer of bad news tonight, guys. I apologize. But, but that's what this is about. You just don't know. And this was a game that, you would think that even after Super Bowl loss, the way the defense went through, isn't that enough? I mean, you got your nose smushed in it. And I won't say the other words that you get your nose put into it, but it's just, if that isn't enough to bring you out for this year to play at a significantly higher level, I don't know what is. I really don't. So as for all these guys worrying about what social media and what fans, I mean, can you get any better fans than Arrowhead Drive? I mean, is there any better place in the world than this place?
Apparently there's
people
many.
Thick and thin are here, and when you're on the road, they're everywhere with you. So I mean, I just don't understand how you can even begin to make statements like that to fans. And it's just it's unacceptable and it's incomprehensible. I especially on your day off, I don't really want to talk.
Does it remind you a little bit of the Elvis Gerback? I can't throw the ball and catch it too, or the Steve? Yeah, I mean, does it kind of ring along those lines to you?
Well, yeah. Back then they didn't quite have the social media thing, but yes, Pete making comments like that into the paper. I mean, listen, nobody plays a perfect game. That's why these guys who say this, if I was Andy Reid, I'd had everybody sit in a room. We're going to play the film. We're going to do all 22 play, and then we're going to do a sideline play. So everybody can see how you performed in the game, where you made your mistakes so the team sees it. Don't need to say anything, guys. Just show it. There it is. What are you going to do about it? So to me, these players, the way you've performed this year, it isn't like you've lost some close games, a mistake here or there, a little thing. It's been bad performances. Tennessee was a bad performance. And if that isn't enough to wake you up, then maybe we do need to have some of these fans get on these guys. Maybe it might help them. Let's see. Maybe this is the future for our defense. We got to have the social media come after them. So.
Well, just kind of one thing I wanted to kind of point out here. You mentioned earlier how Daniel Jones is the Giants' leading rusher with Saquon Barkley being out. And we saw what Josh Allen was able to do with his feet when it was the Bills and Chiefs here. I mean, he was running all over this defense. So that's something to keep an eye on. Daniel Jones running all over our defense because he's a capable runner as well. But Rich, I wanted to ask you about Frank Clark. He came out with some comments this week talking about how he kind of hasn't mentally been here this season because of all the off-field issues he's had and the gun charges. I mean, he's another guy making $100 million, $20 million a year. Like, what do we think of those comments? How he's not mentally here? Like, you have to find a way to be mentally here when you're making that kind of money and this defense is counting on you and we have no other edge rush. He's supposed to be it. We're paying him to be that.
Yeah, it's shocking to make a statement like that, first of all. Well, and let's go back to he put himself in that position. Nobody put him in that position. So really, if I was his agent, I'd say, pardon me, why you're even having this conversation. I mean, it's just so absolutely, it's ludicrous to think you'd even make a statement like that. But I can understand where he's at. I mean, he's looking at some serious charges. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a prosecutor, but I think we all know certain states, certain laws do certain things. You know what? Doesn't matter if you're a professional football player. You might suffer some serious repercussions. I hope he doesn't. I hope there's a mistake, whatever it is, and he gets his life in going forward. But again, that's my whole point. Why are these guys making statements like this? You got to be kidding me. I mean, you're a professional. I mean, you do what you have to do when you cross that white line. If you need an extra cup of coffee, then you do it. Do whatever you got to do. But just sit there afterwards and make statements. I mean, it's just unacceptable to me. And this is what makes me worried, because Andy Reid really hasn't had a lot of guys like this. I mean, you think about it, since he's been, we really haven't had to deal with a lot of storylines like this. And now we are. So I guess this is the challenge for Andy, Brett Veach, and this whole organization. Now you're at this point. What do you do and where do you go with it?
Well, guys, I know this has been a very fun, upbeat show. At the end of this, I promise we're going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. But one thing that might get us out of the doldrums a little bit is Rich's picks for this, Baldy's keys to victory here, how the Chiefs can come away with a victory. Rich, how's it going to happen for the Chiefs tonight at Arrowhead Stadium? How's it going to happen?
Well, keys to the game. Let's begin with the offense. This is to show me state, and hey, O-line, how about showing me something? Since Buffalo, the trend line, as I said, it's below water, guys. Believe me, we're out of air right now, and we're sinking quick. So got to change, got to play at a different level, got to bring an attitude. Don't want to hear about anything. Nothing you've seen has been that complicated. You can always come off the ball and smack somebody in the mouth. Let's see it. Let's set the tempo. Let's set the attitude out there. And on the other side, guys, we're at minus 16 defense. It would be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be sweet too to get something right now. I just eaten half of my, Halloween candy. Give me something else. I mean, I'll take a little more sugar, but give me a turnover. Anything to give our offense a short field, stop a drive. But this is simply unacceptable to me in terms of number of sacks, interceptions. And, that's why I'm saying all the guys that want to talk in social media, I think you got a lot more to worry about than who's commenting and what to say. And, it's simply, to me, I just don't understand it. I guess maybe that's why I don't have social media.
The world would be a better place if you did, Baldy. I can tell you that. We need you.
I tell you what, my hands are too big, and I'm going to hit the wrong button.
And that's what I need in my life. A little
fired.
Tyrann Mathieu, Rich Baldinger Twitter feud is what I need in my life.
Man, that'd be great.
But you love Tyrann Mathieu's personality. You love when he comes on. He's still sweating. He's grinding his teeth. It's like, buddy, do you understand what position of leadership you are in right now? I don't think he does. When you're 60 and sitting on the porch, you're going to remember this. You're going to remember that people wanted you. It's easy to be a follower, but when you got to step up and be accountable for other people, indirectly or directly, it takes guts and effort. You guys did an interview with a guy by the name of Kevin Ross, who was with me all those years. You talk about a guy that did not care about anyone, would fight the world. But he was there every week, every Sunday, no matter what happened. Nothing was more important than that game that was taking place between the White Lions. I wish the Honey Badger would understand that, and that's where he's got to be. And if you don't accept it, that's why I think maybe he doesn't get the contract, because now people are beginning to wonder, is it real or is it BS?
Yeah, and that's a good point. That's interesting that you bring up Kevin Ross, because Kevin Ross was his defensive backs coach in Arizona when he was drafted and got there. So you think some of that would rub off, and maybe maybe it is real, but we're just the frustrations and the struggling. They haven't gone through this. So what are we seeing now? Is it real leadership, or is it only leadership when things are going well and they're going 14-2 and going to Super Bowls?
Exactly. And you put all the pressure on Patrick Mahomes to do things, big plays, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey. Hey, get us out of this. Well, guess what, guys? We need you now on the other side of the ball. And again, to make comments the way they are, not focused, not ready to play a game. Well, I don't know how you're not focused and go in the National Football League and play a game. I really don't. When you get hit and you're not ready, it could do some. It hurts a little bit. So it's simply unacceptable to me. I'm just hoping that these guys see it and understand it. But right now, I'm treading water on these guys. I'm telling you, I'm slowly sinking. The waves are coming over me right now. Right, I'm at Sandy's Point right now in Oahu, and I'm getting hammered right now with 10-foot lefts, and I want to go right. And I ain't going nowhere except into the coral reefs. So hopefully these guys give me a bigger board and pick me out and get me back on top of the wave.
Well, let's try to keep your head above water for tonight at least. Let's try to get this team back to 4-4. Let's go ahead and in with our predictions. I'm going to say this. The Giants actually have beaten the Chiefs 5 out of the last 6 times. Again, when you look at these other divisions, these teams don't play much. It doesn't mean anything. We saw the Washington football team, formerly the Redskins, have only beaten the Chiefs once ever. So that's kind of it's kind of fool's gold if you try to look at stuff like that. But 5 out of the last 6 for the Giants, and I think it ends tonight. Rich, we're going to get you out of the coral reef, the Great Barrier Reef, if you will, as the shark would say from old WCW days. And the Chiefs, I think the Giants are really just too beat up on offense. No Saquon Barkley, no Galladay. They have Kadarius Toney's back. I think he's going to play. They have some other injuries at linebacker. So I think the Chiefs win this. I think they win it by a touchdown, 30-23. And I think you see, the offense re-exert itself. And maybe just for you, Rich, a couple of turnovers from this defense.
Yeah, I hope. And I'm not going to go against this team. I mean, I'm a former Chief. I can't bet against them. I was told a long time ago by a guy as a gambler, and the one time that he bet against the wrong team, they didn't find him. He was gone. They disappeared him. So I'm not going to bet against the Chiefs.
Wow.
I'm going to bet against the Chiefs. So anyways, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a little close. I'm going to go 21-18. I think they're still going to score some points. I think we're going to do something on special teams, finally get a return. But I think this offense is going to be a struggle for us the rest of the year. I think it's just not going to come together as well as we want. But I think today against the Giants, like you said, there's enough injuries for them on the offensive side of the ball. They still have Ingram at tight end. We've not covered a tight end in 30 years. So, but still, I think the Chiefs do something and come away with a victory.
I love it, Rich. I'm going to say that the offense finds themselves. The defense doesn't really. They're a little thrown off by Daniel Jones running the football. Clint mentioned it. Slayton, Tony. They also Sterling Shepard out there. Ingram, Rich, you mentioned him. So they're still going to find the end zone. 38-27 Chiefs. They find themselves on offense. They get it done. Reggie Ragland is out there for the Giants on defense, our good buddy here at linebacker. So hopefully they can take advantage of that, get maybe McKinnon out there on him in some open space. Reggie Ragland won't be able to make the tackle. Big plays out of him. 38-27, your Chiefs get the big victory on Monday Night Football.
And let's face it.
Behind the Chiefs.
And let's face it. Arrowhead Stadium on a Monday night is still a magical place, regardless of who's in the booth for Monday Night Football. And I'm a Steve Levy fan. He's been on our show before, but just for Monday Night Football, it just does not have the cachet to me that it did. Sunday Night Football is probably the NFL's biggest brand as far as showcasing the top teams and the top broadcast, but it's still Monday night. It's still Arrowhead Stadium, and it's the day after Halloween. So I hope everybody enjoys it, guys. Kingdom Kickoff, as always. Rich, we so appreciate you every week. This has been just a blast, and it really just gets me going every week, just talking to you. No matter what happens in the game, I always harken back to these conversations, and you're just such a fun guy to have gotten to know with regards to football and life. So it's been a blast, Rich. So
Well, I appreciate it, guys. And you always just know me about football. As for anything else, you don't want to know the other side, but we won't bring it up.
We're going to try that next year. Life and Politics with Rich Baldinger. It's coming next year, guys. Get ready. It's going to be available wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts and Google Play. So thank you so much, guys. Kingdom Kickoff. If you're heading into Arrowhead, enjoy it. If you're at home like us, staying warm, enjoy it as well, guys. Thank you for joining us on Kingdom Kickoff.